Hello, this is Jim McDonald. In earlier videos, Sheila has already introduced you to the tenure, ownership, and transition of agricultural land and the Agricultural Resource Management surveys. I wanted to give you more information on how the results of these two surveys will be used and what kind of impact they'll have. That's also where my agency, the Economic Research Service, or ERS, comes in as we publish numerous analyses and forecasts based on the information collected in these surveys. First and foremost, the 2014 total survey will let us figure out who actually owns U.S. farmland. Thanks to the Census of Agriculture, we know who tends to this land, but we don't have current information on who are the farmland owners. For example, we can see that U.S. farmers are getting older, but is there a similar trend among landowners? Total will help us find out the age of landowners and observe any types of emerging trends. Importantly related to that, there are substantial changes in institutional ownership of farmland in the United States. For example, TIAA-CREF, the large pension fund, now invests about $5 billion in U.S. farmland. 10 years ago, they had no such investments in farmland. Many other pension funds and investment firms are also buying U.S. farmland. Total gives us an opportunity to find out how extensive and important institutional ownership is. It also gives us a sense to find out whether institutional ownership of land matters for the terms of leases, for conservation practices on land, and for the impacts of policies. Total is the survey that will give us very useful information not available anywhere else on that issue. Now, land ownership is also typically one of the key forms of wealth and is therefore an important indicator of economic well-being in rural communities across America. With the help of landowner demographic information that we gather in Total, we'll be able to see the full impact of land ownership on economic, political, and cultural values in rural communities. In recent years, we've seen increases in overall farmland values. The results of Total will help us identify where those increases went and who saw increases in wealth from increased farmland values. Since the economy fluctuates, there's also a risk of decline in those values going forward, particularly with declining prices for field crops. Results of the 2014 Total Survey will help us determine which sectors of rural and farm populations are especially vulnerable to potential declines in farmland values, and will help guide long-term economic planning. There are currently many USDA and federal government programs in place that are focused on land ownership in rural United States. With the results that we'll see this year, we hope to see exactly how the benefits and costs associated with those land use programs get distributed across farmer and non-farmer landowners, as well as rural and non-rural areas. The results from Total will also provide us with an insight into land rental and lease contract negotiations. We also get some of that information from farmers and ranchers, but as you can imagine, it's important to see both sides of the equation. Landowners' responses will let us accurately determine driving factors behind land rental negotiations. And when it comes to the farm sector financial accounts that are produced 3 times a year by ERS, Total will allow us to update estimates of several hard-to-measure land-based components, such as net rent to non-operating landlords, capital consumption, and property taxes. We publish numerous economic analyses of the U.S. agricultural sector every year, and it's imperative to us to have up-to-date information. Right now, those hard-to-measure components of the accounts are based on relationships that we last measured 15 years ago. They're likely out of date. We can greatly improve the accuracy of our estimates of farm sector financial accounts with the new information gathered in Total. Thank you.